This is 7 News at noon.
Breaking news first at noon. A New York appeals court giving former President Donald Trump 10 more days to post his bond in his civil fraud case. They've also lowered the amount of money he'll have to post. 7's Amanda Crawford is in the newsroom with all the breaking details. Amanda?
Olivia, Trump will be able to stop the clock on that $454 million civil fraud payment if he puts up $175 million in the next 10 days. Now, this comes just before New York Attorney General Letitia James was expected to initiate efforts to collect the money and may have taken steps to seize some of his assets. Earlier this week, Trump's lawyers pleaded for a state appeals court to halt collection on claims that it was a practical impossibility because the bond sum is so enormous. The ruling allows Trump and his sons to continue operating business in New York City. Meanwhile, a tense exchange happened in court today in the former president's hush money case. Former President Trump's attorney is blaming the New York's DA for not pressuring federal prosecutors to turn over additional documents in the case. But the judge is pressing Trump's attorneys about why they didn't ask for the additional documents earlier. Now, Trump is trying to delay that hush money trial until after the November presidential election. In the newsroom, Amanda Crawford, 7 News.
Amanda, thank you. More breaking news. The United Nations Security Council is demanding a ceasefire in Gaza during the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. This is the first resolution demanding a ceasefire to pass at the council after 4 previous failures. The U.S. abstained rather than using its veto. All other members voted in favor. Following the decision, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu canceled the Israeli delegation trip to the U.S. set for today. Israeli officials were going to present the White House with plans for a ground invasion in the Gaza town of Rafah. And details are emerging about a possible swap exchanging Israeli hostages for Palestinian prisoners. Diplomatic sources say it could take days for the exchange to happen. Israel has formally agreed to it, but it's now up to Hamas to accept the proposal. And we're following breaking news. A man from Medford in court earlier today, 33-year-old Frederick Ingrando, charged with animal cruelty. The man was a dog walker for the company Rover. He was released on personal recognizance and is still able to work with animals, but he's being ordered to stay away from the clients and the animals involved in the case. He's pleaded not guilty to those charges. Ingrando was arrested and charged Sunday morning near an apartment community in Medford. Police say several people reported seeing him hit at a dog and lifted off the ground by its collar. The dog was taken to a vet to be checked out. And we're following more breaking news. The prisoner accused of breaking out of a transportation van in Waltham facing a judge this morning. 7's Steve Cooper was in the courthouse. He joins us live with the breaking details.
Right, so the hearing here at federal court lasted just a matter of minutes, but that was long enough for federal prosecutors to tell the judge that this prisoner escapee is a serious flight risk.
Only weeks after 7 News cameras were there when Waltham police and state troopers captured an already shackled Victor Demora Pereira hiding out smoking a cigarette behind a dumpster after he slithered out the back of a Plymouth County transport van that had stopped in traffic. The 20-year-old appeared in federal court Monday morning, charged with 1 count of escaping federal custody. No cameras were allowed in the courtroom, but with his ankles tightly shackled together and surrounded by several U.S. Marshals, Demora Pereira listened through an interpreter as the judge outlined the charge and the maximum penalty he faces. Prosecutors calling him a serious flight risk and explaining he's already facing deportation charges. According to court documents from 2021, Demora Pereira was arrested by federal agents in Arizona after they say he unsuccessfully entered the United States. Months later, removal proceedings against him began. His not-so-great escape that lasted just a matter of minutes due to a defect in the transport van's containment system is something that the sheriff of Plymouth County is already working with other law enforcement agencies across the country to make sure their systems are correct and nothing like this happens again.
And so, surrounded by an army of U.S. Marshals, the suspect was led out of the courtroom shackled and handcuffed. He's being held without bail at the moment, and he's due back in a federal courtroom next week. We're live in South Boston. Steve Cooper, 7 News.
And there's more breaking news today. Governor Healy adding new requirements for migrants staying in state shelters. Families will be evaluated on their participation in state-provided programs, including taking English classes, getting a job, and looking for housing. The Healy-Driscoll administration announcing today that the initiative goes into effect on May 1st in response to increasingly crowded shelters across the state. And the state opening a new shelter at the former Chelsea Soldiers Home facility. It was the site of a massive COVID-19 outbreak during the pandemic. The administration says the new facility is larger and will serve about 100 families with children or pregnant women. 7 weather now, a breezy day in Boston, taking a live look outside this afternoon. But hey, at least we're dry today. Meteorologist Josh Worster has a first check of the forecast.
Yeah, clouds overhead. Don't worry, nothing coming out of those clouds today. Temperatures, yes, are on the cool side. 40 in Boston, 39 in Fitchburg, Worcester 37, 41 from Nashua right on down to Norwood. Maybe climbing a couple degrees as we head into the afternoon. Storm offshore trying to throw the clouds our way. So 95 corridor south and east, including Boston, you have a cloudy day. And still some clouds, but higher level filtering clouds for those of us back out through Metro West and Worcester County as well. So there's a storm offshore. You just saw that. The closer you are to the storm, the more clouds you have, the more wind you have as well. Sustained wind through southeastern Massachusetts, the Cape and the Islands, 20 to 25 miles an hour, the sustained wind. The rest of us were kind of in that 10 to 15, maybe up to 20 ballpark. So absolutely noticeable through the day today. Will stay noticeable through the day today. And those wind gusts over 30 and in some cases closer to 40 miles an hour as you get down across the Cape and the Islands. So that wind with us all day long today. We'll have either filtered sunshine or just mid and high level clouds. So yes, it's a cloudy day, but it's not those low hanging gloomy gray clouds that are, like Saturday. Temperatures will climb to the lower 40s. A chilly breeze will make it feel like it is about 30, but most importantly, we're dry. Rain chances, they're back in some form for the rest of the week. We'll talk about it in your full forecast.
On 7 News now, a 4-year-old girl struck in the street in Boston while out with her family. People who live nearby say it's a busy area, especially on weekends. Police now looking into what led up to the tragedy. 7's Dan Housley has the latest on the investigation.
This is a particular area of downtown that has a number of family attractions, but it also has traffic like many other areas of downtown, and it's the intersection of those two elements that apparently produced this family tragedy. Boston police responding to a tragic Sunday scene in the Seaport neighborhood.
It's a very emotional situation, yes it is.
Yeah, it's very, very tough to hear.
Witnesses describing the chaotic sights and sounds after a 4-year-old girl was struck in the street.
I just heard abnormal screams coming from this area here. Then I heard some sirens a couple minutes later and figured something was going on.
The intersection and bridge beyond it were shut down. First responders on the scene so fast.
Child struck Congress Street and Sleeper Street in South Boston.
Witnesses say the little girl was in an ambulance in what felt like seconds.
Ambulance was gone, but there were what seemed like family.
The child was not by herself. The child was with family members.
The child was rushed to the hospital but didn't survive. Investigators focused on a dark gray pickup truck trying to piece together what happened. They say the driver stayed on the scene and no charges have been filed. With both the Children's Museum and a popular park close by, those who live in the area know how busy it can get, especially on the weekend.
Sunday is prime time, Saturday prime time. Ton of pedestrians, ton of children walking all over the place here. There's frequently cars going really fast down Sleeper Street and in this area in general, and there's not a whole lot of enforcement.
Boston police say they are still investigating, and they went out of their way to thank the bystanders and the people who live in this neighborhood for doing whatever they could after this terrible accident happened. We're in Boston. Dan Housley, 7 News.
And we have breaking news, a fire tearing through a home in Attleboro. Sky 7 HD over the scene of that fire. Just moments ago, that building is badly charred and dozens of firefighters are on the ground there. Fire officials have not said if anyone was hurt. The cause of the fire is under investigation. And a man is recovering after he was shot in Dorchester last night. Police say the man originally had life-threatening injuries, but his condition has improved. He was shot on Dorchester Ave around 9 p.m. near the Ashmont T station. Police say no arrests have been made. And Boston police are asking for the public's help identifying 4 people connected to an assault and battery in South Boston. These photos show 3 of the men wanted by police. Investigators say the assault happened on St. Patrick's Day in the area of East 2nd and M Street. And there's more news today. Boeing CEO will step down by the end of the year. CEO Dave Calhoun making the announcement this morning. The news comes after a series of incidents with Boeing manufactured planes, including 2 deadly crashes on Boeing 737 MAX jets in 2018 and 2019. Another incident happened earlier this year when a door plug flew off the side of an Alaska Airlines Boeing Jet 737 MAX 9. That Alaska Airlines flight took off from Portland, Oregon in January with 171 passengers on board when the door plug blew off the plane. The door landed in a backyard. A number of federal agencies are conducting investigations into that incident. Along with the Boeing CEO, the board chair is also leaving, and the CEO of the commercial airplanes unit will retire. Also on 7, the Biden administration says it's preparing to accuse Chinese hackers of spying on U.S. companies. Sources familiar with the matter say the crackdown is expected to include criminal charges, sanctions, and a multi-million-dollar reward for information on the hackers. They say hackers were using Chinese technology as a front of their activity. The British government says they're also preparing to accuse the group. And the former Republican National Committee chairwoman is now commenting on the January 6th Capitol riots. Following years of deflecting on the incident, Ronna McDaniel now says the attack on the Capitol was unacceptable. McDaniel says she didn't say anything earlier because, quote, when you're the RNC chair, you take one for the whole team.
We should not be attacking the Capitol. We should not be having violence. If you attacked our Capitol and you've been convicted, then that should stay.
Now a senator from Utah.
McDaniel left the RNC earlier this month after leading the organization since 2016. Now to Princess Kate's cancer battle. The Prince and Princess of Wales say they are enormously touched by the support Kate has received since revealing her diagnosis on Friday. Messages of sympathy and encouragement have been pouring in from around the world. The 42-year-old princess said the cancer discovery was a huge shock, and she's now in the early stages of chemotherapy. Meanwhile, King Charles's nephew, Peter Phillips, said the king is frustrated that his recovery is taking longer than he would like. But he says the king is in good spirits. Neither Charles nor Kate have revealed what type of cancer they have. Coming up, a fire on a cruise ship to the Bahamas, what passengers say happened right before the flames broke out. And narrowing it down, Patriots head coach Jerod Mayo talking about what he's looking for in a quarterback.
Cloudy skies, but dry out there today. Rain chances back the next several days. We'll show you which day is the wettest coming up in your forecast.
We're also following several breaking stories. A New York appeals court giving former President Donald Trump 10 more days to post his bond in his civil fraud case. They've also lowered the bond to $175 million. Also breaking, the United Nations Security Council is demanding a ceasefire in Gaza during the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, passing a resolution after 4 failed attempts. Following the decision, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu canceled the Israeli delegation trip to the U.S. set for today. And more breaking news, a man from Medford charged with animal cruelty in court earlier today. He was a dog walker for the company Rover. He's being ordered to stay away from clients and animals involved in the case, but can still work with other animals. Stick with the news station for the latest breaking details. Is there such thing as healthy beer?
Dietitians weigh in on which brews are best for your health.
Burned out from work? You're not alone. Just how stressed workers in Massachusetts say they're feeling.
Dodging showers for the rest of the week. We'll have the forecast.
A thorough truck causing some delays this morning. I'll have another check of that commute on Tuesday.
We hope you join us tomorrow on 7 News Today in New England.
We get started at 5 and stay on till 11.